Is that? Yee! We getting it, boy.
What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay.
Your baller back again. Smells like football season.
Yo!
Yeah.
Whoa!
Faithful Niner Empire. What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay. Welcome back to another episode of Straight Out of the Bay. To my left, I have Bay Area Baller. Underneath, we have Richard Kelts. How's everyone doing tonight on this Monday night? It's been a while since we have linked up, but it's always great to come back and hang out with friends and talk about our Niners. Huge shout out to everyone in the chat. But first, how are you guys doing? Eric and Rich, how are you guys doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm doing really good. As soon as I got that message, hey, let's get straight out of the Bay, ready to roll on Monday. I got excited because I love talking ball with you guys, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to hit on all things 49ers.
Absolutely. How you doing, Kelts?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Just another blessed day. We were backstage talking a little bit about my injury, man, playing basketball, 37 will change you lightweight, man. It was I've had pretty tough tendons throughout my playing career when it comes to sprained ankles and stuff like that. Never had one. Had some dislocations, broken hands, but this was different, man. Pulled something in my back, but besides that, man, things have been great, man. How you doing,
man?
Jay?
I don't know about everyone else, but in the Bay, we've had some crazy weather. Every winter, I always say, man, I don't remember it being this cold as it was the previous winter, but I don't know about you guys, but it's been really cold. We've had a lot of rain recently, so it's been an interesting February. I don't know. Do we usually get rain in February like we've gotten so far? Do you guys remember last year if we got rain like this?
Man, I think we get rain. It feels like every February because my mom used to always tell a story. I was born Valentine's Day, but she was like, "Man, when you was born, it was like thunder, lightning, rainbows, and then pouring one moment, and then it would sun one moment." And then I was kind of like, "Man, you're putting a little extra on that, Mom." And then, sure enough, every birthday I pay attention to it, and it's like it's almost the same. It's almost like it's always that kind of day on my birthday, man. And so there is quite a few days, but not this cold, man. Like it was hailing.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
know.
hailing today. Yeah,
Bro, it was hailing
for like 15
hard.
minutes straight.
Yeah, like 3 o'clock. Because I went and picked my daughter up and I'm taking videos of it. I'm like, bro, this is off the hook. This is like
Crazy.
some good hell right here. So it was cool, man. Hey, I enjoy it. I kind of enjoy when it switches up, man. How about you, Baller? Like, is this a normal winter in the Bay, man?
No, I think it's a bit – there's more rain than your typical year. It's raining, and we need it, right? California's been in a drought for years, so
Absolutely.
bring on some rain. We can handle it.
Hey, absolutely. That's the spirit, man. Huge shout out to everyone that's in the chat right now. We have Raphael 5629ers. What's good? Raphael says, "What's up, Kelts Chronicles, Jay in the Bay, BayAreaBaller18, and Amin the Dream. He may come in during the show. We'll see what comes to fruition, but we wish Amin well. And of course, we'll be doing shows in the future, so Amin will be back with us. And I agree with Raphael. He says, like and subscribe, everyone. We appreciate that. We also have Rams fan and content creator Payo Time. What's good? Payo Time says, hey, straight out of the Bay crew, it's football weekend, or it's football withdrawal. How is football withdrawal treating you, gents? And that's a great question. We got, and speaking of Amin, what's good, Amin? How you doing, man? I don't know. Can you hear us?
He might not be ready. He might not be ready.
Maybe he's not ready. Hey, this is live. This is live. Things like that happen, man. We also have Jaron in the chat. What's good, man? He says Jabberwockies. Hey, that's an excellent group. Check them out in Vegas the next time you're in Vegas, man. But let's deal with that question from Payo Time. How is football withdrawal treating you, gents? And I'll go first. Honestly, after the Niners lost that game, I wouldn't say I was depressed, but I didn't even really want to talk about the Niners. I just had to take a break from streaming. Obviously, that break didn't last long, but yeah, I just needed some time away. Obviously, it was a long season. Obviously, being a fan, the emotional roller coaster going through the season, and then also being a content creator, so that adds on to it. But you know, I'm glad I've gotten a break. We'll probably continue to do shows, of course, at least a few times a month, maybe once or twice a month. But I would say the time off was much needed. I'll say that. And I'm curious. I guess I could ask this to you guys later, but like, are you guys watching the XFL at all? Does that interest you at all? What say you, Eric?
Yeah, yeah. You know, I had turned it on. I wanted to see Eric King, who's on the Defenders, and he didn't start the game, but he came in the second half. He's a quarterback. He was quarterback at Houston, and then he went to the University of Miami. He's a really athletic quarterback. I actually thought maybe he could get a shot in the NFL as a backup somewhere. So only when I want to watch like niche players,
Okay,
I'll tune in to the XFL. And then to answer Peyo's comment, yeah, you know, we need the off season. I spend so much time watching the game and just analyzing football. It takes up a lot of time. So when the off season rolls around, you know, it kind of frees up some of that time, and I can spend that elsewhere. So I embrace the off season, but the itch will start soon to get back to some football.
Oh yeah, hey, I'm right there with both of you guys, man. But the XFL, I haven't paid attention except for I seen something on Twitter where the coach like said something about his players not playing. They were down 36-0 or something like that. So I caught that, and then I also caught like one of the first games. It was maybe the very first game where dude was scrambling, making a play to, I think, Josh Gordon. Oh, and then I also seen something about AJ McCarron, taking less money so he could put some film on YouTube. His son loves to watch him play. So he's like, man, I want to get on the field and actually play. So, I thought that was kind of cool by AJ McCarron. But yeah, man, hey, we need a break, man. I'm a passionate fan, so I definitely need a break, man. I need good amounts of breaks because I'll be getting, I dive deep in whatever I do. It doesn't matter what it is, how it is, when it is. If I'm on it, I'm gonna go all the way in it. So that's what she said. But anyways, yeah, man, I set myself up for that one.
That's funny.
Hey, it was a nice break, but I still am always paying attention to it, even when I'm taking a break, even if I'm barely checking it out. I'm looking at free agents. One thing I used to do before YouTube content creation, talking to this screen with you guys, you know what I'm saying? Is I would love the draft, bro. I would do so many mock drafts. I just get excited about who we gonna get, who's gonna stay, just all of it. Free agency, all of it, man. Payout time says background and visual looking great. And then we also have Terradome in the house. What up, my man? In the mighty name of Jesus. Every time I see Terradome, man, I hear preaching in my head, man. So what's up, fellas? What's up, Terradome? Hope all is well. Yeah, man. Who knows? Maybe if I get bored, I'll be checking more of the XFL out. But it's draft time. It's free agent time. There's going to be a lot of moving pieces. I'm sure we're about to get into a lot of it. Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Hey, absolutely. Yeah, I haven't gotten into the XFL. I don't think I'm gonna get into it. Obviously Sundays during the season is time away from family. And I appreciate this time during the off season to get back into that routine, hanging out with the fam. And so I take that time out to, kind of stay away from football or just, it's always good to get back into a rhythm of being with family. So obviously we know football in the regular season, it's time consuming, especially when you're a content creator and you add work into it and life in general. So but it's good to be back on with the crew. Hopefully Amin will join us when he's ready. But it's been 3 weeks since the 49ers have lost, the NFC Championship game against the Eagles. Obviously we've got news about Brock Purdy, and he was supposed to get the UCL surgery, I believe, like this week. I believe, and unfortunately, that's been pushed back due to inflammation in his elbow. So I was just want to get you guys' thoughts. The timeline. I believe it's a 6-month injury that he should heal from after surgery. So I'm just curious, what do you guys just think about Brock Purdy? Do you think he'll be available week 1, or do you think this is Trey's team for the duration of the season? Just curious on you guys' thoughts. Amin, can you hear me?
Can y'all hear me? That's the
Oh
question.
yeah, got
Yeah,
you.
we got you.
I've been
We
like
got you
struggling
now.
backstage for like 10 minutes. My mic wasn't working. I kept plugging it in, unplugging it. I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? And then finally it worked. So I'm in here.
Hey, Amin, you got to show off that sweater, man. That's bringing back childhood vibes right there. Rugrats. That's what I'm talking about. That's fresh, man. That's clean. That's clean, man.
God,
Hey,
I'm trying to remember the theme song. It's like it tried to hit me when I seen the picture. Clean sweatshirt. I mean, what's up, my man?
Shake that. What's up?
Ah, man, what is it? I know they're
I
on
got
I don't
it. I
remember.
got it.
He said
You
he
got it?
got it.
I
Are you
mean,
brave
but
enough to
shoot.
sing it?
There it is. There it is. Bang.
Isn't that Doug? That's Doug.
Is that Doug?
I think that's Doug.
They sound similar, I think.
Yeah. For
Anyways.
Rugrats, I just remember Chucky eating the watermelon seed, and then it grew up in, or it grew in his body. That's all I remember about Rugrats.
And
What are we doing?
That was
What are we
bringing back
doing
great
here?
memories. But hey, Amin, so how the last 3 weeks been for you, with the 49ers losing the NFC Championship game? How have you dealt with the football withdrawal? And are you watching the XFL?
First off, no, I'm not watching the XFL. I mean, they don't really got a local, Bay Area team. And after, just, watching the Niners and already, the ups and downs of the Niners bring me in my life. And this year's been a lot of ups watching the 49ers, but no XFL for me. I need a break from football. The off season's a time where me as a fan, I just, relax and chill and take a break from football. Follow the draft, obviously. I'm interested to know who ballers, top 5 quarterbacks are in this draft class. I want to see, this pre-draft. I want to get the evaluation down on who's his number 1 quarterback. Forget about Mel Kiper. I want to hear, ballers, quarterbacks.
As you should. As you should. Well, I tried to
Yeah.
tell Mel Kiper years ago. This was in the Blake Bortles, Derek Carr draft. McShay, Mel Kiper, they had Bortles at the top of their quarterback list. And I can tag you in the tweet. But I told Todd McShay and Mel Kiper, I was like, look, Blake Bortles sucks. Derek Carr is better than Bortles. So I hit on that one, but yeah, I'll finish my quarterback evaluation and I'll tag you in that one.
Hit me with it.
So what Amin is really trying to say is whoever baller says is top 5, you just pick the opposite of that. That's kind of where you're going with that.
That's where that's what he's alluding to.
Yeah, it's called. No, I'm just kidding, but yeah, man. Hey, but so you got my mind thinking about the Brock Purdy, Trey Lance. I seen a couple of people talking about, hey man, I'm with Trey. Man, it's same stuff, different toilet, man. It's all, we never know who the number 1 quarterback is. Last year, and then even when finally last year they said, okay, Trey's number 1. It's still, then Jimmy gets restructured. Then Jimmy's looming in the back. So it feels like we truly haven't had a number 1, since Garoppolo was. And then even when Garoppolo was, it's kind of like, man, we need better than that. So, it's going to be who's healthy. It's going to be who's healthy and who stays healthy. That's going to wind up being the guy who takes the job, in my opinion. Yeah, I feel like it's got to be Trey. I think what they're saying, the 49ers, all the predictions, all the talk, Trey and Brock, I feel like it's kind of like that's the best case scenario for Brock to come back when it starts the season. And I just don't see that being the most likely situation. So I think Trey's going to get a shot, but he's got to grab the opportunity and just take it. Whether we want, we know he needs to grow. We know he needs reps, all these kind of things. What's up, Low the Truth? Good stuff for coming through. Yee. Yeah, man, it's just hey, he's got to take it, regardless of how many snaps he's had, 900 snaps throughout his career since, even in college. He's got to take the opportunity just like Brock did, regardless of his inexperience and just run with it, man. That's how I feel about the whole thing so far.
What's your concern level for Brock? Like 1 being not concerned at all, 10 being very concerned that he won't be ready week 1.
You asking me?
Kelson, and we'll go around. Start with Kelson and go around.
So am I concerned that he won't start week 1, or
exactly like he won't be healthy? He won't be healthy week 1,
or how likely? You know what? I feel like it's low. I would say something like a 3. But I feel like he will be healthy, but is he in football shape yet? It's kind of. I feel like it's kind of on the fence like that. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. We will see, man.
How about you, Amin the Dream? What you think, man?
I mean, I'm obviously interested to see when the surgery will happen, and like kind of like Kels, mentioned, is that I don't know if he's going to be in football shape starting week 1. But that's the thing, though. You don't need him to be ready week 1. If you realistically look at this offseason, if the Niners go and sign, a veteran quarterback, and they go and sign, a serviceable backup instead of Josh Johnson, like they did last year, a serviceable backup, a quarterback 3, and you already have Trey Lance, right? So, depending on what Trey Lance does and if he gets injured or if he struggles, you still have Trey Lance. Now, if he succeeds, great. But you don't need, Brock Purdy to come back right away, and you don't need him to start for you week 1 because you do have Trey Lance. And if, like a lot of Niners fans think, the front office they go and get a backup quarterback, I don't think they need Brock Purdy to be, ready week 1. I'm interested to see when the surgery will happen, but, definitely interested to see what's going to happen with quarterbacks and just the quarterbacks, around the league. Obviously Aaron Rodgers is everybody's talking about him potentially going to New York. People are talking about Derek Carr. So this offseason, I mean, obviously a lot of NFL teams are looking for, a quarterback or drafting or interested in drafting a quarterback. But, the Niners already have, a former first round pick in Trey Lance who's able to start, who's able to get into training camp, who's able to get reps, who's going to be ready for week 1. So you don't have to rush Brock Purdy back in right away if he's not ready to play.
Yeah, I'm with Amin. We don't want to rush Brock Purdy. Trey Lance, we got good news. He put out, I believe it was on Instagram, that he was throwing over the weekend. So it sounds like Trey is already progressing. And I don't want to rush Brock Purdy. And let me tell you why. If both of these guys are healthy week 1, I think we know which quarterback in the locker room the team would want to start. It's Brock Purdy, right? But if we don't rush Brock and maybe he's not quite ready week 1, then it's Lance's shot. And I want to see what Lance is made of, okay? The kid has 4 starts. He flashes some tantalizing talent. And none of us know exactly what he is. So I want to find that out. And I think the best way to find that out is early on in the season when maybe Brock Purdy isn't 100%. So if we could get Trey Lance 3 or 4 starts to start the year, let him start back-to-back games for the first time. And let's find out what this kid's got, because
you have to.
Third pick of the draft, you got to, Kelts. We got to see what this kid's made of before you give up on him and you trade him elsewhere. Give him a shot to play. Let's see what he's got.
Yeah, man, there's a reason why they went up and got him, man. Whether, it's his smarts, his heart, his talent. I mean, he has it all. And, if it always, the one thing that does bother me is Shanahan felt uncomfortable when he did have him in games, and he seemed comfortable when he had Brock. And that's something I didn't like, because it's like, if you were that confident and went and got your guy, is that showing a incapability of Kyle Shanahan on knowing how to kind of mix and match versus his scheme versus what's good for the player? Sometimes Shanahan feels like he's set in stone when it's like, nah, this is how we're doing it. Sometimes you got to kind of be able to be molded into certain situations, and I hope we get to see it. And I'm not talking about running him. I'm just talking about we all watch football, and you can sense when it looks comfortable and when you can see trust and when you can't. There's just a little urgency type of uncomfortableness, and I hope we get to see it. I hope we get to see who he truly is. And the other thing that does suck about that, we might not truly see that for a couple years, But who knows? That's why I said in the beginning, Trey's got to take the op and he's got to run with it full speed.
No, but that's you mentioned trust, and going back to the Super Bowl, there was they had an interview with Mahomes, and he really said Andy Reid trusted him. And if you
Mhm.
look at everybody likes to talk about what if Kyle Shanahan drafted Mahomes, and even if you look at this offseason, people are talking about if the Niners hypothetically in some other universe trade for Lamar Jackson, which is not gonna happen. But if you do trade for Lamar Jackson, or if the Niners drafted a Patrick Mahomes, would Patrick Mahomes be, the Patrick Mahomes that we know today? Because you look at obviously with Trey Lance, and yes, Kyle Shanahan is an amazing football mind. He's a brilliant football mind in terms of scheme, in terms of scheming guys open. If you look at some of the plays, he's great at that. But one thing that you haven't seen from Shanahan, except for this year with Brock Purdy, is that he doesn't trust his quarterbacks. He, in a way, likes to control his quarterbacks. And when you saw when he trusted his quarterback in Brock Purdy, the
Mhm.
offense was way better with the 7th round pick, right? Just because Kyle Shanahan instilled that trust in him. So the question is, looking forward to, the upcoming season, if Trey Lance is a starter week 1, if Purdy isn't ready to go, which you don't have to rush him back like Baller said, you don't have to rush him back. But if Trey Lance is ready to go, and Trey Lance, has his ups and downs in training camp, because this technically will be his first full year because he hasn't had the last 2 seasons, one due to injury, the other he obviously he was a rookie. So he obviously didn't get a chance the last 2 years, and his last college season was shut down due to COVID. So this will technically, if he does get to play and have a full season, this will be his first full season as the starter. So the question will be is that will Shanahan trust Trey Lance and fully trust Trey Lance to, execute the offense and lead these guys and help the offense be successful and help this team win football games. We saw with Purdy last season. We saw when Shanahan did trust his quarterback, the effect that it had not only on his quarterback and the quarterback play, but you saw the effect that it had on the entire offense. The entire offense got better. So now we have to find out is, yes, we'll see who finds out, and we'll see who's the starting quarterback week 1. But if it is Trey Lance, will Shanahan trust Trey Lance?
That is the $1 million question, Amin. But I gotta say, hot diggity dog. Appreciate that $2 super chat from Jag. He says 49ers have to decide which quarterback can beat Mahomes. Yeah, that is what Shanahan has to decide. As far as my concern level from 1 to 10 on Brock Purdy and if he'll be healthy and ready by week 1, I would say it's around a 5. It's a double-edged sword for me because everything happens for a reason, and this is, unfortunately for Brock, this is Trey Lance's opportunity to show that he belongs in the NFL and he can be the 49ers franchise quarterback. So far, he hasn't proven that. As far as Brock, my concern is at a 5 because the offense ran the best under Brock Purdy. And as Amin and Eric have stated before, that Shanahan trusts Brock Purdy, and when he trusts a quarterback, we've seen this offense really hit another level as far as productivity. So this is Trey Lance's opportunity. I'm looking forward to him starting week 1. Hopefully he can have a healthy camp. Hopefully we'll see him in a few preseason games. Hopefully we'll be able to see Danny Gray integrated in this offense. I still don't understand one of the fastest guys in the NFL. You don't use I would never understand that. I would never understand that. But we've got a great plan. We've got 2 quarterbacks. We'll get into a backup quarterback real quick in a few minutes, but I think if Brock has the surgery in March, hopefully he'll heal up, he'll be ready in 6 months. And obviously, I think Trey Lance will get the first, like Eric said, at least 4 games, because we know if we're 2-2, we're 1-3, Trey Lance isn't playing well. We already know that people are going to be saying bring Brock in. We already know. So
how crazy is
the
it?
locker room's going to be saying it.
Yeah.
How crazy is it that we're sitting here talking about Trey's got to earn his spot back from Brock Purdy? Just like
Isn't that
really
crazy? Isn't that crazy how things change?
Dude, but you know what? Amin made me think. All right, because sometimes I'm like, okay, well, why is there a trust issue? And it feels like he kind of trusted Brock. It feels like there was trust there. And then I start thinking back to Mullins and Beathard, and it feels like in a weird way, they would take deep shots. And it feels like, I feel like when Shanahan has a quarterback, okay, well, it's just Brock Purdy, 7th round. Hey, I don't got nothing to lose now. Let me just freaking wing it and go for it. You know, I kind of feel like there's a sense of that. I feel like when Shanahan feels a little pressure, like, oh, this is my number 1 pick, I got to
Like he's
master it.
overthinking it.
Yeah, man. He's playing too much of chess. I mean, you got to mix and match checkers. Sometimes the best play is not screen shift. Sometimes you need to power, just push, you know, just do a nice protection, shield your quarterback. You know, it doesn't always have to be so brilliant and sexy, but yeah, man, Mean made me think of that, so I wanted to say it before it lost.
But if it's not brilliant and sexy, then the fans, the media can't call Shanahan a genius, right? That's what it's all about, right? I mean, we have to hail Shanahan as the hero.
You do need guys open. You do need guys open, but you do need to protect your quarterback. You know, do you need that guy 10 yards open, or is 5 yards open okay, or 1 yard open okay if your guy's standing upright? You know, just balance.
As far as protection, just curious, are you referring to the play against the Eagles when the backup tight end didn't do his job?
I'm talking about 1,000. I'm talking about 1,478 injuries since 2017. Ooh, the most in the in NFL history, or the most in the end. You know, it's not all Shannon. It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
but you cannot ignore those little bits of everything. You have to approach it like, all right, man, we're staying healthy. Whether it's trainers, scheme, an extra person, you got to address it. You got to, because most of our seasons that have fallen apart seems like it comes to injury, or the quarterback wasn't good enough, or you know. So
I honestly, I think, going off on a little bit of tangent here about the injuries, but I have to say this. I think with the quarterbacks, I think with Jimmy's injuries, I don't see how you could blame Shanahan. I mean, year 1 he ran, you know, or year 2 technically, he ran out of bounds, tore his ACL. I believe he had the ankle injury in 2020, I think. So you know, as far as the skill guys getting hurt, like every year we go through 4 or 5 running backs. I don't know how you blame Shanahan on that. But yeah, I mean, that number you said, 1,400, that stat doesn't lie, and that's legit. But there's no doubt Shanahan does need to, I don't know, peel back the curtain, look in the mirror, Michael Jackson, do something like.
Hey, a couple years ago we were talking about, is it the trainers, is it the turf, is it it's just you know, it's a little bit of everything, man. But you can't just keep pointing the finger and blaming. You have to just take a very assertive, you know, especially with the quarterback, especially you just got to, whether that's players, scheme, philosophy. Hey, even on the yak, think about how many short passes. Think about, all right, like you were talking about Danny Gray, right? That one deep pass. Shanahan loves to have the 10 play, 12 play drives. And how many times are people getting hit during those 10 play, 12 play drives? And when you really just look at, you know, it would just be nice to see some deep balls, you know, scoring quick, you know, being able to I remember back in the 90s when Jerry Rice was on the sideline with his baseball cap on because they was up by a couple of scores. And Jerry Rice notoriously stayed healthy until, you know, his 15th season. He finally on a freak play by Warren Sapp. But there's a way to be smart. There's a way to be efficient. There's a way to go about it in a philosophy way, from coaches to players. And if you put a concerted effort, even the players get down a certain time. Sometimes I know you want to put your heart and soul, Fred Warner types. Hey, we're going to give it 120%, but sometimes you got to tone it down to a notch, you know, tone it down a little bit to live to fight another play, you know? So we'll see. We'll see if they take a different approach when it comes to injuries.
We shall see. I gotta say, hot diggity dog. I appreciate that $5 super chat from Blue True. Blue True says, welcome back, straight out of the Bay. Appreciate that. No worries. We gotta get into obviously Brock Purdy is going to be a hot topic all off season, including Trey Lance, of course. And huge shout out to everyone that's in the chat right now, leaving comments. We appreciate it. Feel free to like the video, subscribe. We appreciate it. But we got to get into the 49ers free agency. And Fable JVC had an interesting comment. We'll definitely get into that. But let's do it like a round table. We'll start off with Eric. What is the 49ers biggest need heading into free agency? And is there a specific position where you think the 49ers should max out their free agency dollars? It could be any position. So how about you? What you think, Eric?
Yeah, I don't want to max out quite anywhere. 49ers don't have a ton of cap room to play with at the moment. So, but the biggest need, I'm looking at the trenches, deciding which way I want to go. I'm going to go D-line. And let me tell you why. Listen to these free agents that the 49ers have just on the D-line, okay? Ebukam's a free agent. Charles Omenihu, Hassan Ridgeway, Jordan Willis. Like the D-line has been hit hard in terms of free agency. The only defensive ends on the roster right now are Nick Bosa and Drake Jackson. So the Niners are going to have to make a play, and I'm thinking it's going to be in free agency. I mean, look at Drake Jackson, our second-round pick last year, couldn't even get on the field. Yeah. So can you really rely on the Niners picking a defensive end in the third or fourth, fifth, whatever it may be, that's going to be an impact player? I'm not sure. So I'm looking at the defensive line as a position in free agency that the Niners are going to have to attack.
What say you, Amin the Dream?
Yeah, I'm with Baller. Obviously the backup quarterback position is something that you have to address. We obviously, found out about that last year, and you look at
they already got a backup, Amin. You got Trey, you got Brock.
Trey and Brock, we had Jimmy and Trey last year, and both of those guys got hurt. And then Brock Purdy also got hurt, and then Josh Johnson also.
You don't want Josh Johnson back?
You can never be too safe with this team. You really can't.
I'm not spending. I know we're going to get into. I'm not spending money on a third quarterback.
It's almost crazy that we're this stressed out about a third string. Who's gonna?
No, fourth string. Fourth.
Who's gonna be?
We need a fourth string great quarterback.
This is. Hey, but it's true, but it's like, I don't know. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. But go ahead, Amin.
And then obviously, like Baller said, I mean, that D-line, right? You obviously have Bosa, and we already know how good the secondary is. If you get Emmanuel Mosley back, hopefully you'll be able to. And that's the funny thing about the torn ACL is that the torn ACL obviously was a huge, was a loss for us because both of those guys were playing lockdown. Mosley, Charvarius Ward, when they were on the field together. But then Mosley got hurt, and I think that torn ACL kind of, lessened his value a little bit. So that betters the chance of the Niners being able to re-sign Emmanuel Mosley. But looking at that defensive line, not majority, but, primarily, when the defensive line is the most effective, it's when Nick Bosa is wreaking havoc. And I'm not trying to discredit Eric Armstead. Eric Armstead, had a couple of good games in the playoffs this year. Obviously did his thing last year in the playoffs. But Eric Armstead isn't a number two. I mean, he is for the Niners, but he misses games. He isn't really a true number two. And what you need with Nick Bosa is you need a number two on that defensive line. Now, I'm not saying go and get, a Brian Burns or go trade picks for a Brian Burns or go get someone big. But obviously, I think Nick Bosa does need some help because when this pass rush is the most effective is when Nick Bosa is a one-man show pretty much in essence and is just wreaking havoc on opposing offensive linemen and opposing offensive tackles. So get a number two, on the other side of Nick Bosa, whether that might be through free agency, whether that might be through the draft, you find a late round gem, or, it possibly could even be Drake Jackson because Drake Jackson, just how Aaron Banks was last season, where not last season, but the season before that, his rookie year, we were like, wait, Aaron Banks isn't seeing the field that much. Drake Jackson, second round pick, isn't seeing the field too much. And then you find out next season, after a year he got to develop, and while he was sitting on the bench, while he was learning, wow, Aaron Banks is actually really darn good. The Niners sat him and Matt made him sit a year. Same thing could potentially be with Drake Jackson, where, hey, Drake Jackson, we haven't seen you on the field. You're inactive for some of these games. What's happening, Kyle? Why isn't Drake Jackson active? Next season, he could come out and be a number two for Nick Bosa. So you might have it in-house, but definitely try to get, a number two for Bosa, or it could be Drake Jackson. And then not even a want, but a must is re-sign Nick Bosa. Give this man whatever, 150 million, 170
check.
million, whatever you need. Get Bosa his money. And you look at. I ain't trying to discredit any 49ers players, but you look at some of these guys that have gotten contracts and then they've gotten hurt. George Kittle, obviously Deebo Samuel, guys that have gotten contract from the Niners and that really, they've been impactful but haven't necessarily lived up to that contract and have dealt with injuries after getting that big contract. Nick Bosa tore his ACL 2 seasons ago, and he was already good the year coming off of it. But what he did last year coming off a torn ACL to be even better than he was, Nick Bosa is someone that you give whatever he wants to. Give him his $150 million contract, 5-year, sign him, lock him up. It is a must for the 49ers to bring back Nick Bosa because he was pretty much a whole defensive line, at times, last season. So bring back Nick Bosa and address the defensive line, or, it could be Drake Jackson.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, you took the words out of my mouth when you were talking about Drake Jackson. I feel like he could be one of the candidates for like a Hufanga type, to where he didn't play much the first year and then he just explodes the second year. I think they really believe in Drake Jackson. And so I like what Baller's talking about in the defensive tackle. Kinlaw isn't who we thought he was. Reminds me of Denny Green back in the day. They are who we thought they were. We let him off the hook. Kinlaw was not who we thought he was, man. And it's unfortunate. Prayers to him. Hopefully he gets healthy. Who knows? Maybe maybe it's a miracle. His knee heals up and he turns into a straight beast. We don't know, but
can't count on it though.
You cannot count on it at all. I'm not counting on it at all, but for the sake of that man not being the one, I'm just gonna say, hey, you never know, man. Because if I had some issues, I'd be sitting there believing, hey, I'm coming back no matter what anybody say. But it is what it is. I feel like, look, I don't know exactly who we're going to get, and I'm going to answer Jag in a second here. I feel like the 49ers are going to do exactly what they did last year with Kavarius Ward. I feel like they're going to go find that, kind of 7th, 8th, or 9th type of person that no one's really paying attention to, kind of like the cornerback situation where I believe it was J.C. Jackson. And, there was a top 4 or 5 list of cornerbacks. And it's like when we first got Kavarius Ward, it was like, who the heck is this Kavarius Ward? We start, diving into the numbers. Like, hey, this dude is actually pretty dang good. See him on the field. I feel like they're going to do that. I feel like the 49ers are going to go find their Kavarius Ward on the defensive tackle.
Charvarius, man. Charvarius. I've been hearing
what I say, Kavarius?
You're like Kavarius. I've been hearing it like 4 times. I'm like, count. Put some respect on his name, Counts. Okay. Put some respect on his name.
Man, hey, here, I'll get even more respectful. It's Mooney, bruh. It's Mooney. Not, but, Mooney Ward. Nah, hey, thank you, though, Amin. Hey, who do you guys think could be that? I feel like they're going to grab a defensive tackle. I feel like they almost have to, unless I'm just kind of missing something. But, a lot of people talk about Deron Payne. And I'll probably mess up on some of these names, but Javon Hargrave, I think he might be the most expensive. Tomlinson might be a little cheaper. Fletcher Cox, you got Michael Brockers. There's a few guys out there. Is there anybody out there that seems like that could be like a Kavarius Ward type of dude that no one's really talking about? I feel like that's what we're going to wind up seeing.
I don't think the Niners will sign any big name defensive tackles like the ones you just mentioned. I think you're already paying Armstead. You're about to pay Bosa. You just drafted Jake Jackson. So I think it's just going to be, 1 year stopgaps, and then we'll also, draft a defensive tackle. I would like to see Arden Key back. He may be outside of our price range, but I thought he played well with us. He played well in Jacksonville. He's a free agent. But yeah. Drake Jackson didn't play that much this year, obviously, but you gotta. That's up to the coaching staff. They have to develop they have to develop the young talent. Obviously, we got a 3rd round pick. I wouldn't want to see us draft another defensive end. We have Drake Jackson. We drafted him last year. You got to give him time to develop. I would much rather just grab a 1-year vet than draft another defensive end. But we'll see what happens.
We need a few though, Jay, because
we only
got 2 defensive ends on the roster right now.
Yeah. I think we'll do a 1-year vet guy or a few. We'll bring Jordan Willis
I'm
back.
thinking
We
that
could bring
Jordan Willis.
Omen Wayhue back.
Uh,
If he hasn't priced himself out, and depending on his legal situation, we'll see what happens with that. But I wouldn't want my first pick, and obviously we got a ton of day 2 and day 3 picks. I guess you would pick whoever is best available at that point, I guess, because I know we have like 3 picks back to back to back to back to back. So obviously you could go edge, you could go back up tight end, you could go right tackle, whatever. But to answer Jack's question, appreciate that. He says, besides quarterback, what are the top 3 needs? I think it's obviously we probably agree defensive line. I think maybe safety,
Center,
probably offensive line. I think those would be the 3
offensive line, defensive line, and I got a sneaky one. That I'm kind of been holding in my back pocket. I've heard a couple of people talk about it, and I'm trying to. I can't remember exactly who it was, but a speed running back. Like, look at the impact that CMC had on this team, right? Okay, Jeff Wilson Jr. was good. There's no doubt Jeff Wilson Jr. is good. Elijah Mitchell is good. But look at the impact that CMC had on this 49er team. Those guys were good, but look what happened when you sprinkle in some great. So my thing is, imagine if, you're using the speed of Danny Gray, and then you get just a flat out Raheem Mostert, Matt Breida.
I'm sold. 3rd round. Let's draft a running.
You need the fastest. Go get the fastest running back just to have that. And especially the way Kyle dials it up. That's his little bread and butter. That's Kyle's bread and butter. When he has some of those holes, sometimes you see someone get a little hand on CMC. Sometimes you see him get a hand on Mitchell where he doesn't take it to the house. And, Mason is nice. All these guys are nice, but we don't have that flat out burner. And then what if something does happen to CMC? I know we got Debo, but the CMC just had a different effect. What if he's out for a good 4 or 5 games? You see what happened earlier in the season, how we struggled until CMC got there. If he hey man, we need that burner, man. That's my little
No, I agree.
I always like to add speed to the roster.
Yeah.
But let's get someone who could kick. Right now, Robbie Gold, we don't have a kicker signed at the moment.
Right.
So that's a need. And also I heard tight end was mentioned. I think that was you, Kelts. Need a tight end. I wanted a tight end last year, like an actual name tight end as a solid tight end too. They experimented with Jordan Reed briefly. So they've waffled around on getting a solid tight end too, and hasn't really happened yet. Hopefully this is the off season it happens. And then safety, like Jay said, safety, Tayshaun Gibson's a free agent, Jimmy Ward's a free agent, so there's some work to be done. So to answer Jaguayo's question to top 3, it's D-line, it's O-line, then I'll probably go safety.
I would love for the Niners to get another tight end who, when you insert him into the lineup, there's not much of a drop off from Kittle. But how much money can you really give to that tight end position where Kittle's already making top dollar? I would love to see a Dalton Schultz from the Cowboys. He's a free agent, but he's probably out of our price range. But I'm tired of the Tyler Cross, Charlie Warner. Yeah, he's a good blocker, but we need another. Why not add another target for your quarterback besides Kittle? Yeah, you block him 50-60% of the time anyway, so let someone else go out for a pass pattern. But how much money can you really allocate to that position? Maybe get a tight end in the draft.
Hey,
I seen
a tweet today. It's real quick. I seen a tweet today that said, we picked Vance McDonald 8 spots above Travis Kelce back, whatever draft that was.
Wow.
When I seen that tweet, it just instantly made me think of Garoppolo and Thomas for Mahomes and Vance. And could you imagine if we traded Vance McDonald, Solomon Thomas and Jimmy Garoppolo for Mahomes and freaking Kelce? But hey, man, you win some, you lose some. It's a coin toss in the draft. But a
lot of teams passed up on Kelce, but he I'm sure in that draft he probably would have easily should have been like a top 5 pick in that draft. But we got to address this. We have to address one of the most important positions along the offensive line. There was a comment earlier on in the show, and it's about the franchise tag option that every team, obviously, in the NFL has. Hey, the big Mike McGlinchey, the enigma that is Mike McGlinchey. Either you love him or you hate him. He is a free agent. I don't know if anyone else has looked at the top free agents that are in the NFL coming this year. Mike McGlinchey is the top right tackle in free agency, so he's going to get top dollar. I know everyone on this panel is saying we need to re-sign Mike McGlinchey now. Am I wrong?
You're dead wrong. No, no. I mean, hey, look, Mike McGlinchey, he isn't. Look, he isn't horrible. That's why they're saying he's possibly the top 10 free agent out there. But his low lights are the lowest lights. Like when you're getting tossed with one hand, ragdolled. I know Parsons is good, but you're a football player. There's no time ever that a right tackle's body, this is upright, that should be like this. You should never be horizontal. It should just never happen. I don't care
you
who
win
you're
some,
facing.
lose some.
Oh man, but he did. There were stretches where Mike McGlinchey, he did really good, but his low lights are really horrible, or running off of the field with Trey. Just some of the stuff is a little weird with McGlinchey, but John Lynch loves him, man. The 49ers love him, so we're going to see. I put on the thumbnail. I believe his name is Caleb McGarry. I know he's going to be pricey. I don't know if you guys know anything about him, but he looks like he might be one of the top right tackles out there. I'm trying to pull it up. Some of the right
So
tackles.
you're saying you want to give McGlinchey another year on the franchise tag? Is that what you're saying?
I got the right tackles list, Scout. So we have George Fant, McGlinchey.
It's like, let's roll with this. Go ahead.
Billy Turner, Jawan James, Jawan Taylor, Jermaine Ifedi. The only couple of guys, right? George Fant, who played in New York last year with under Robert Saleh. Jawan Taylor, who's in Jacksonville protecting Trevor Lawrence. So those are a couple of guys. Billy Turner plays at Denver with Denver. So those are a couple of guys. McGlinchey's actually the second best available right tackle in this free agent market. So that pretty much sums up what you need to know about the right tackles.
I wonder how the money's looking. Like man, it just feels like, man. It feels like, because I'm kind of like, man, can you really just keep on drafting, free agent offensive linemen, or what are we going to do this coming up year?
You're not sold on Colton McKivitz? He's supposed to be the next man in waiting.
That's what Mayoko says. McKivitz the next man up.
I know I've had pushback on this, but I would rather I would want to see what Burford looks like. I would want to see I want to see what Burford looks like. I threw this out there probably right after the season ended. I was like, look, it's gonna be Burford, it's gonna one of Zakel or Poe, I believe, is gonna be one of the guys, and then who knows what we do at center. Maybe it's gonna be, oh my God, why is his name leaving my mind?
Brindle?
It's gonna be. There's gonna be. I feel like it's almost gonna be in house, man. And then maybe we draft another guy or two, and maybe we find, is Brunskill a free agent as well?
I think so.
Because maybe we go try to find Brunskill. Maybe that's what we do. We go spend cheap and don't go hit a home run in the free agency. We go spend cheap. Maybe draft someone that maybe have some upside and just do it in-house. I could see it playing out like that.
I might be wrong on this. Was McKivitz the guy that was getting burnt so badly in the preseason? Not burnt, but beat so badly in the preseason. It was him and the guy that we drafted, not last year, but the year before that. Oh, I can't even remember.
Compton.
That was a long time ago, man. He's improved.
Jalen Moore. And it was him, and I think it was McKivitz, who was just straight up struggling and like getting beat so many times in preseason games. Like,
are we talking about practice? We're talking about practice?
I think it's preseason. I might be getting confused more, but
the McKivitz game that stands up to me is last year when he had to play week 17. He had to fill in. Trent was out with the ankle, and McKivitz filled in admirably. Like, I don't remember him screwing up and kind of pointing the finger like we do with big Mike McGlinchey on occasion. And I want to address Tommy's comment on Jake Brendel. He said Tommy thinks Brendel's gone, and I know we're going to talk 49er free agents here, but I think Brendel's staying. All right. The 49ers, they need a center. Brendel manned that position. Brendel took more offensive snaps than anybody on the 49ers last year. He's been with Chris Forrester with the Miami Dolphins, with the 49ers. Like Brendel is offensive line coach Chris Forrester's guy. They've been together at multiple spots. I don't see Brendel leaving after one pretty good year. Like it was a good year.
He was a Pro Bowl alternate, man. He's about to get paid.
He was a Pro Bowl alternate, whatever that means. He also missed a huge block in the NFC Championship game on a screen pass.
But don't we want better? Don't we want better? I think if the left side is set with Williams and Banks, don't we want better than Brendel at center? Don't we want? I mean,
I want better at right tackle, but
hey, look,
you guys said right tackle.
We can't spend it in free. I mean, I just don't see us getting anything in free agency. I just don't see it.
I'm sitting here talking about, hey, I think they're going to do it in house, and who knows? Hey, we don't know, man, if there's going to be a couple of Hufungas next year, right? But I did say a few times, like, hey, the 49ers did tremendous this season for what they had. And I remember in preseason, I was like, I feel like these guys are all going to step up, which they did. Everybody was worried about our offensive line. Look, we were, the 10th best? You could say anywhere between 12 and 8, however you want to break down the numbers. We were, top 10 offensive line. That's really, really good. Something to be proud of. But is good enough? Is good enough to win a Super Bowl? We've seen the Philadelphia Eagles have one of the best rosters in the NFL and still lose. So my thing is like, man, if we're really trying to win a Super Bowl, you might have to go get that big beast. You might have to go restructure a few contracts, get $50 million in cap space, and go break the bank for another monster, like a monster to where you're not saying, oh, this guy's parallel, or, he's getting tossed horizontally. Okay, you can make a few good plays, but, man, we need a beast. Every majority of Super Bowl winning teams typically have, 2 to 3 Pro Bowlers on that damn line. That's solid, not alternate, So I think they're going to do house, but at the same time, I would love to see him, just go full throttle with it, man. They did with CMC, but it's time to protect the quarterback full throttle.
I would love to see them have a Pro Bowl worthy offensive line, but the 49ers have already made investments in other areas. Linebacker, you look at corner, you look at with Bosa, Trent Williams already getting paid, Kittle, Juice. So it's like there's an area along the team where you're not going to be able to have Pro Bowlers at every spot. And it seems like the offensive line is the least invested outside of Trent Williams. Especially this year, where there was basically you had 3 new guys in the middle of your offensive line, never started a game before, and I thought they played well. And the 49ers have made investments along the offensive line in the draft, so I think they're just going to continue to do that. I think in Shanahan's eyes, the offensive line was good enough this year to get it done, and I think in majority of the season it was, other than every quarterback getting hurt. I mean, other than that, hey, it was pretty good in Shanahan's eyes. Okay, if Shanahan doesn't believe the offensive line was good enough, then we'll see some changes. We'll see McGlinchey will be gone, and we'll see maybe some upgrades either at center and at right guard, right? If there's no significant upgrades, if we just draft some more guys, then it was good enough in Shanahan's eyes. But I don't know what else you can do.
But unless they really do believe in Poe and Zaquille, you know what I'm saying? Because
those guys have to develop, and that's the thing. They've already drafted a lot of guys. You got to allow these guys to develop. You can't just So
yeah.
We'll see. But great feedback from everyone. We got to talk about the 49ers free agents. And I just want to do a quick roundtable. Who's one free agent that's currently on the Niners who we need to re-sign? I guess I can start it off. I think we got to bring back Robbie Gould. I know there's some kickers coming out in college, but Robbie Gould had a pretty good year. I don't think he's ever missed a kick in NFL postseason play. He's top 10 in a lot of the kicking categories. I know he's 40, I believe, but I think it'd be great to bring Robbie Gould back on a 1-year deal. I think that would be perfect. There's some other names out there. I have the free agent list of 49er players. Let me know if you guys had any questions about any specific players, or if you already know, that's great. But Kelts, who which 49er free agent do you think we have to bring back? Under
I'm doing a brain exercise right now, trying to remember all of them, and I don't want no help. No, I'm trying to not cheat. I'm trying to, I'm hard on myself like that. But Willis is one of the sneaky guys that I want to keep for sure. Willis, Aziz obviously is probably going to be asking, deservingly so. Some
maybe he'll go to Houston.
Some more Skrilla scratch, some more Fetty. He's going to go get his bag. He's going to go get his cheddar. Yeah, man, I like Willis. There was 3 guys I really liked on the list, and I might have to have someone help me cheat and name off a few names.
Emmanuel Mosley, Tayshaun Gibson, Brendel,
Ward,
Cam, Omenahu,
McGlinchey,
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jesus Christ. Hey, could you imagine like Jimmy Garoppolo versus Trey in the playoffs, man? It could happen. We could dream. That would be freaking sweet.
Samson's a free agent. Kerry Hyder, Maurice Hurst, Josh Johnson,
man,
Ross
how much is Mosley? I seen someone put Mosley. That was the first name on my mind was Mosley. Willis is a sneaky dude. I would love to see Willis get more playing time. Ward's going to be hard. We'll see what's Ward. Man, I like Tayshaun Gibson. I like him as well. Hey, we got a lot of guys that we need to bring back a handful of guys. I know that.
Yeah.
So those are just a few of the names, and I'll let you guys take it off from there.
Yeah. Well, what I want to ask all you guys real quick, let's go around, is if you could only re-sign one of the two, Emmanuel Mosley, Jimmy Ward, who would you rather sign? I'll start by saying E-Man.
I would go with Mosley as well.
Yeah. I was thinking who's behind E-Man. You got Lenore. Who's behind Ward? You got Womack or Tayshaun Gibson. So, I try to see who's behind him. But yeah, it would be Mosley for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be Mosley simply for the fact that obviously Tayshaun Gibson's a free agent, but you still have Tayshaun Gibson who, filled in nicely for the 49ers last year. And even when Jimmy Ward was hurt. So without Mosley, obviously you have some younger guys. So I would definitely bring back Mosley back because I have trust in Tayshaun Gibson. Where if Jimmy Ward does, end up leaving this team, if you're able to re-sign Tayshaun Gibson alongside with Tono Hufanga, I think the Niners will be fine at the safety position.
Yeah, and for my free agent that I want the 49ers to retain, it's Emmanuel Mosley. And I'm just going to go through my list of who I think is going to stay and who I think is going to go because I just got that list handy. Who's going to stay, in my opinion? Emmanuel Mosley, Daniel Brunskill, who I like. Brunskill kind of has that 6th offensive lineman. He can be the backup at all 5 spots. Hassan Ridgeway, we need some big bodies on the interior. I thought he was solid before he went down with injury. Tayshaun Gibson, I want him back. Should be pretty cheap. And I think Jake Brendel will be back. I don't think he's going to be too expensive on the open market. Who's going to go? Jimmy Ward, Jimmy G, Ebelcam, Aziz Al-Shaair deserves to be a number 1 linebacker for some team. I'm a big fan of Aziz. Sad to see him go, but he deserves to be the top guy, whether it's with D'Amico in Houston, wherever it is. McGlinchey, gone. Sayonara. Thank you for your service. And then Charles Omenahu. I would love to have Omenahu back, but I think he just kind of priced himself out. I mean, after Nick Bosa last year, in my opinion, Charles Omenahu was the second best, just the second most consistent defensive lineman. I think he priced himself out.
Man, there's a long list, bro. And we haven't even mentioned Juwan Jennings, huh? Or is he?
He'll be back
restricted.
though. He's restricted.
He's restricted. Okay,
Yeah.
I see it now. Yeah, man, there's a lot of guys. Okay, I'm looking at all the restricteds. Yeah, man, that's still a lot of guys. That is still
You guys
a lot
don't want
of
to bring
guys.
back Samson? You don't want to bring back Samson?
Hey, man, we got Drake Jackson. I
need to upgrade,
I do
Jay.
like
We're
he
talking about
puke him.
upgrades. I want to upgrade Ebelcam. Like Ebelcam's cool. He's good against the run, but I need somebody that's going to get after the passer.
Yeah.
So you think so we think that Drake Jackson is going to be a 3-down edge rusher. He's going to be just like Bosa. He don't come off the field.
Shanahan, man, he likes to play with the rookie. he likes to be back and forth with the rookies, but hey man, yeah, we're gonna see a couple of Hufanga. Man, this was we had a deep draft class, man. I seen someone mention in the chats. I completely forgot about Davis as the defensive tackle.
Oh, Khalil Davis.
You know, he dropped far in the draft because of the injury. So but hey, he was that
He's
big
got
daddy.
something.
He's
got
that.
something.
And then I seen you. I don't know if we're gonna get into the draft, but hey, I seen you throwing out some stuff on some of the defensive tackles as well,
Yeah.
Eric. So I'm curious. I'm curious to see some of these beasts that are coming out.
Yeah, I got a list. I've been scouting defensive tackle. You know, I'm trying to go through the 49ers needs and kind of scout those positions more often. So, yeah, I got a list of, 6 or 7 defensive tackles who should be there, 3rd round and later is primarily what I'm focusing on. So, yeah, I can throw out some of those names.
Maybe we'll yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'll mix it in right now. Yeah, I like Byron Young out of Alabama.
That was
This
my
guy's
first.
not flashy.
That was my first guy,
solid.
bro. That
Yeah.
I looked at 5 guys, and that was one of the ones where So I like that right off the bat.
Absolutely. Yeah, Byron Young out of Alabama. I like Jalen Richmond out of Oklahoma. Excuse me, Jalen Redmond out of Oklahoma. That's the guy who actually I got circled right now saying, okay, maybe at the end of the 3rd where the Niners are picking round 4, if they wanted to tackle, it's going to be Jalen Redmond. And a couple other guys. Dante Stills. If you're looking for a Charles Omenihu replacement, this guy Dante Stills out of West Virginia, he can be an outside. He can be that big end on the outside on rushing downs, and then on pass rushing downs, you can flip him inside, just like the Niners did with Omenihu. So those were, and then the last guy who was giving me DJ Jones vibes is this guy Nesta Jade Silvera out of Arizona State. Went to Miami for a few years, transferred to Arizona State. So those are a few guys that can plug that hole in the middle of the Niners D.
Hey, definitely names we'll have to keep out on the look for. And appreciate that super chat, Jack. Hot diggity dog. Have you heard of these 2 names, Bay Area Baller?
Yeah, Saunders from KC. Yeah, my boy Larry Kruger's been talking up Saunders from Kansas City. I know Larry's been all over him. He wants to bring him in. Robinson from the Rams. I gotta check him out. Robinson.
Okay. So it sounds like it's going to be another draft where the 49ers is going to be defensive line heavy. I mean, I guess that is where we're weakest, have the least amount of depth along the defensive front on the defensive side of the ball. So it's going to be a lot of edge rushers, a lot of defensive tackles. How much time you guys got? We reached an hour. How much time you guys?
I'm good. I'm good on time. Hey, but one thing about the Niners.
30 or 15?
Are you guys cool on time?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Hey, I will say this though, we all would love to see them hit the draft with get a center, get a defensive, hit the trenches up, hit the trenches. Yeah. Don't be surprised if you see 2 running backs and the dang quarterback. Just don't be surprised.
Running back in the 3rd round, another running back in the 3rd round, and then you go and draft like a late round gem who's also running back.
Speedster. He's got to be a speedster, though.
Hey, give me a flat speed running back. Hey, I'm not going to be mad at it. We've seen what.
I'm with you. I feel you.
Hey, for real. Hey, because you can find some gems. We've seen what the Niners also do in the 4th, 5th, and 6th round. So it's like, I expect it to not be what I expect for sure.
We didn't talk about cornerbacks as far as free agency. We know we want to bring back Emmanuel Mosley probably on a 1-year team friendly deal.
Guys, Jalen Ramsey.
Hey, great topic.
Come on.
Talk about, I was going to talk about Emmanuel Mosley. Someone else said that he won't be ready week 1, so we'll probably have to either sign a 1-year vet free agent or draft. Maybe we'll do both, but let's get into Jalen Ramsey. Do you guys think the 49ers should go after Jalen Ramsey? I don't know why the Rams would want to trade him. I guess to relieve some cap space, I guess. But
Jalen does not want to get trucked by Debo no more. He knows he needs to be a 49er. There's no other wide receiver that could truck Jalen like that. So he needs to be a 49er. He can't let that be put on film again. I think that was the top 10 play of the whole year when he just ran through the whole Ram secondary. Jalen don't want no part of that. But you know, on a real note, he seems like a tremendous dude, you know, on and off the field. I don't know a ton about him, but from everything I've seen from him, hey man, he's a freaking baller. Hey, come to Frisco. Let's go.
I don't see how the Rams could trade him. I mean, his dead cap hit is like $47 million. I don't even know how they're going to trade him. He does have
Does
a
that
potential
change
out.
post June 1st? Because a lot of times
Yeah.
those things change.
That's a good. Hey, I'm gonna look that up right now.
F
but,
those picks.
but okay, so what would you guys be willing to give up for Jalen Ramsey if the Rams said, "Hey, we want
I mean, in
Brandon
division though,
Ayuk"?
Jay, they're
Say it again.
oh,
What if the Rams said, "Give us Brandon Ayuk"? The Ayuk show. What
You
if
said
Okay,
Ayuk?
can I pose
Give
a more
up-
give
interesting
up
question?
Ayuk for Ramsey?
Can I pose a more interesting question?
Absolutely, go
If the
ahead.
Niners, if the Rams were to call up the Niners, and let's say no picks involved, you either give us Ayuk and a second, or you give us Ramsey, or you give us Debo in a third. Who are you willing to give up? Would you rather give up Ayuk in a second, or would you rather give up Debo in a third?
I ain't giving neither of those packages up for rent. I don't know, man. I don't know. I couldn't.
yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
That's
But if you had to
probably-
choose one, if you
But
had
if
to
I
choose
had to,
between Debo
okay. If I had to,
or Debo,
if
or I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do either. But like, if you had to pick,
if you
between them,
had to, I would say Debo in the third because you know Debo has showed times it feels like you know Ayuk stays on the field and he's that kind of more prototype. It's still hard. It's still hard. I'm not even worried about the drafts, but it feels like Ayuk is continuing to get better and better and better and better. Have we seen the best of Debo? Will he stay healthy? I'm not sure. Hey, he could come back next year and be explosive, but on for the way you set that up, I mean, I would keep Ayuk in the second round pick.
I want to keep Debo. I think Debo is just a more talented football player. They're both good. Talking Ayuk, talking Debo, but I want to keep Debo.
Honestly,
But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think the 49ers can trade for Ramsey. I don't see how it's possible. I don't know why the Rams would want to trade them within their division. That's going to upset their fan base. So I don't see it happening on multiple levels.
They got to have something to talk about.
Yeah, trust me. The things I'm reading, there's everyone's reaching all over this stuff, all over the place. They're reaching.
yeah, I think I heard this on another show earlier, but you know about possibly trading Brandon Ayuk. Obviously, I'm a huge Brandon Ayuk fan. I think obviously he's a great route runner. Is he a difference maker? Is he a special player? Is he a top 10 wide receiver? I don't think he's reached that level yet, but you can't re-sign everyone. And Brandon Ayuk is coming up on his 5th year of his contract. And you already signed Debo. You already got Kittle. Can we afford to keep Ayuk? I mean, I think that's a legit question.
Absolutely, it is. And what I ran through on my channel, I was throwing out, would you consider trading Ayuk for Joey Bosa? And that, you know, hey, it sounds far-fetched, but if the 49ers wanted to add a pass rusher and, you know, we don't have the money to spend in free agency, especially if they did want to keep Brandon Ayuk, whatever, next year, now that's a next off-season discussion. But that was something I threw out there because Brandon Ayuk is the one player. If they wanted to make a trade, you know, and not take on all this dead cap, like if you traded Debo, there'd be a bunch of dead cap. Ayuk is the guy that you could kind of dangle out there.
Yeah.
And now you're making me think, hey, Danny Gray is there. Who you just never know from rookie season to second year. So you just never know what the Niners are thinking, how much they know about what they have in the building. Like if they weren't able to shoot that to Ayuk, hey man, Danny Gray could be next level, so yeah, we're gonna see. It's gonna be fun to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I don't think this is gonna happen, right? Obviously, the Rams aren't trading Ramsey in the division. That's a wish, right? Let's get Ramsey onto the 49ers. But if this was a hypothetical situation, which I wouldn't trade none of these guys for, Ramsey and both the packages. I like Ayuk, I like Debo. Both of these guys are valuable assets to this team. And I don't think, like I said, I don't think the Niners would trade Debo or Ayuk to the Rams, and I don't think the Rams would trade Jalen Ramsey to us, so I don't think it would happen. But that's the thing, though, about, Debo, is that money aside, if we're not talking about money and we're, putting aside money and we're putting aside we're trading him to a rival and the Rams are, giving us Jalen Ramsey, the thing about Debo is that Debo was great last year. And Ayuk, he was good last year. He had a good year, but even this year, Ayuk, I feel like, has shown more consistency to stay on the field. He's developed every single year as a receiver. And the thing about, this offense was successful without Debo this year. And you saw Ayuk, this offense was successful without Debo. Debo, obviously, I'm not saying Debo isn't great. Debo's a great player. Debo's a great player. Debo's still valuable to this team. I love having Debo on this team. But if we're just looking at it, if we're just being honest, Debo wasn't
Real talk.
impactful on this team last year. And he wasn't, this Niners offense was still successful without him. And like I said, I'm not trying to, I already know people in the chat are going to be like, you said Debo's this. Nah, Debo is a great player. Debo's, one of the best weapons in the NFL in terms of what he could do with the ball in his hands. But the Niners offense is still successful without Debo Samuel. And this might be a hot take on top of it, but I think Brandon Ayuk, if in terms of just being a receiver, in terms of, route running, catching the football, Ayuk, I think, is a better receiver, pure receiver, than Debo Samuel.
And then is it sustainable with Debo, as far as having to break 4 or 5 tackles on?
Is it sustainable?
Hey, I love Debo, man. Heart and soul, straight dog. It's everything you freaking want. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, when you just take off the feelings and just like look at it from a business and being smart about it, it's kind of like, how long is that going to hold up, him playing that style? That'd be another one of my questions. How long is that going to last?
Funny thing, PTV is calling me Shams. I've seen that like 3 times today, and I was just like, I had to point it out. He's calling me Shams.
Hey, that's a compliment. Shams is doing big things. Amin's gonna be on that level someday. We're gonna be talking about the times. Hey, remember when we were working with Amin the Dream on Straight Out of the Bay? Like, that's where it's gonna be.
Like, man, bro, we got to sit there and hear his voice get deeper, bro. We were there. Like, we seen the transition. We seen the transition, bro. Now, hey, real talk. Hey, I'm not. Hey, I did notice it though. I ain't gonna lie. When we started the stream, I was like, "Damn, Amin's voice got a little bit deeper, man." Like, that's what's up, bro. That's what's up, bro.
I didn't notice until you pointed it out. I had no idea until you pointed it out.
It's happening, bro. It's happening. Hey, we took a month off, man. Hey, I noticed little things, man. But it's dope to be able to witness that kind of thing. Hey, I got a 16-year-old son, so I'm I'm a dad, man.
I see you be hooping. I see you be hooping. Shout out to Kelt. I see you be hooping. He actually be balling out. I see, him scoring buckets, AI crossover. I was like, okay, Kel's do your thing, popping 3 corners. I was like, dang, Kel's can still hoop.
That's was on one that day, boy.
Man, hey, that's been my whole life, basically, man. But father time caught up to me because the next day, man, I done blew my freaking back out, bro, trying to hit a fake fadeaway on my son and strained a lumbar or whatever the hell that's called in between your spine and your hip and your freaking back, bro. I ain't never did. Yeah, I dropped the ball, bro. It was done. I was walking like an 80-year-old. Oh man, I was 12-4, 12-4, 12-4, and then I let him go up 5-1 on the 4th one, and I got injured. I was like, my son's name's Mason. I was like, bro, you cannot go home undefeated. You cannot let me just whoop you. I'm 37, bro. Like, I was like, cannot just let me whoop you 3-4 times in a row. I started talking big mess. We're both talking to each other, and then yeah, man. He ultimately won because I got blown out. I was in the bed for a good week, man. It was no joke.
We all got to meet up and play 21.
For sure, man. Hey, I'm down, man.
We all hoop, so yeah, we should all get together.
That'd be dope. Sure. Straight Out of the Bay edition. Yep. Throw it on live.
One last thing I want to say, because there's been a lot of speculation about the quarterbacks, right? And the QB3 or the necessity to bring in another quarterback. And I'm just, fellas, it kind of irks me a little bit, all right? We have Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, two young quarterbacks who I like, who I think both have a lot of potential. Brock Purdy, we've already seen it on a pretty good sample size. Like, I feel like I know Brock Purdy he's good. Is he great? I don't know, but he's good. I want to find out if Trey Lance is good, if he has the potential to be great, like I think he can be. But with these two young quarterbacks, I just want to say I do not see the 49ers bringing in a third quarterback who's anything much more than the vet minimum. Okay, whether they draft a rookie, they bring in their third quarterback through the draft. I feel like that would be a really young quarterback room. I think I would rather get a cheap veteran. But I just want to say, the creators and just the fans that want a Mitchell Trubisky, or they want Jacoby Brissett, or who's another, Ryan Tannehill I've seen
Red
thrown
Rifle.
out there, like Red Rifle. I mean, if I don't see any of those guys coming, those quarterbacks are all like
Mariota
worthy. No, it ain't
Marcus
happening.
Mariota.
I'm sorry. Those guys are like those guys want to
water
have a
boy.
chance to play. Those four quarterbacks that we listed all want a shot to get in the game
play.
and show what they have. They're not taking the minimum. And the 49ers don't have a lot of cap. All right. So they're not going to spend $8 million on a third quarterback when you got two young guys ready to roll. I just had to throw that out there.
Taylor Heineke.
I like
that
Heineke,
one's
man.
possible.
Uncle
Yeah, I
Rico.
Stidham.
Sudfeld.
I think he might come back
I see
to the Raiders,
Sudfeld.
though. They'll bring back Nate Sudfeld for the minimum. Yeah. Hey, that's an option.
My boy Shams on the rise.
Oh, just throw this out there. If TB12 picks up the phone, are Lynch and Shanahan answering that call?
Only if they're getting bad news on Brock Purdy. If they get bad news on Brock, which obviously we don't want, but if the doc goes in there and they say, hey, this elbow's a little more jacked up than we thought it was, and then that's the only point. This is the first year where I'm saying no to Brady. Like, this is last year I would have entertained it. 2 years ago I'd have entertained it, but now with Brock, with Lance, both of them I think have potential. The answer is no, unless Purdy's elbow.
But what if Tom Brady is like, look, Shanahan, my bad about the comment about whooping you on the Atlanta Falcons. I guess that was an actual real thing that happened where Brady was like, hey, remember that time I came back, 28-3 and, but anyways, what if Brady comes through and he's just like, man, I'll take the super low. I will take a super, super discount. I want to set my legacy. Shanahan, what's up, man? I don't know how much the super low would be for Tom Brady, but what
like
if he's
10
like
mil, 15?
Oh, but shoot, if it's something, hey, but bro, like if it's something like that, I mean, could you
But that
imagine?
means he's playing though, Kelts. He's not
Hey,
coming here to sit the bench.
could you imagine Tom come knocking on the door and was like, man, I tried to do it for 10 mil and they said no. I mean, that'd be off the hook. Because how much should he be worth?
Oh no, man.
At least 15
he
to
didn't want to
20.
get hit. He doesn't want to get hit.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get hit.
Everything was so quick with there in Tampa Bay. He's getting the ball out like
I didn't like it.
Hike, balls
Oh,
out. Chris Godwin bubble screen. And it's like
Debo, CMC.
I know. Well, the 49ers do have the weapons to maybe pull that off, but I'd rather have Purdy doing that.
For real. I to be honest, I'd rather see our youngsters for sure. I want to see what Trey got. I want it, hey, but he's already delayed, a couple of years, man. We should have seen Trey from the jump. We didn't. We're here now. We got to see what the kid got. I feel like he's still going to be great. And I also feel like Brock Purdy's going to be really good, I feel, because one of the things is, hey, what if neither one of them are good? Hey, what if they're both really freaking good? We'll see. But I want to see what Trey got for sure.
Absolutely, man. Well, it was good to link back up with you guys. Great show tonight. Huge shout out to everyone that's in the chat right now, whether you're watching on Bay Area Baller, Amin the Dream, Rich Kelts, intheBay YouTube channel, or Straight Out of the Bay. We appreciate all the support, and we appreciate everyone leaving comments. Any final words from anyone? Maybe an outlook.
Go Lakers. Go
Creative.
Lakers.
Oh, go
27
Lakers.
points.
I
27
know
points.
Bayer
Put
Baller
some
Kelsey
respect
like
on
the
our name.
Warriors.
Go Lakers.
LeBron James broken foot out for the rest of the season. Put your
Ouch.
playoff shots are done. I mean,
Are you serious?
Ouch.
That's
When did
tough.
that
I
happen?
know, I
Okay,
know.
no.
That came
We
out
don't know
today,
it's a
Kel.
broken
That was
foot,
tough.
but it
That was
sounds
tough.
like they're saying LeBron's
That's a
going to
real
miss
thing?
an extended
That was
period of
tough. That
time.
was tough. That was
Yeah,
Wow.
LeBron messed
That
up his
was.
foot.
That's
Yeah, he
cool.
wasn't walking right. That wasn't a good. Yeah,
You
he
never
was
want to
hurt.
see one of the best players in the league go down, one of the historically great
Yeah,
players.
no.
Yeah.
Especially the Lakers did make some good moves at the deadline. I thought they got better, and I thought they gave themselves a chance to make the playoffs. But now with LeBron going down, it might be a little too steep to climb. I mean, sorry, buddy.
That's true. That's true. You know,
Hey, we could leave
I was
this for
excited.
another.
I was happy for a moment or two, but
We could leave this for another time. But hey, Baller, I do want to say it real quick. I really feel like the Warriors are lightweight. It just is what it is. I don't want to say playing chicken, but I feel like it's a blessing in disguise right now. Real talk. That Steph isn't there, Wiggins isn't there, and you're getting the ability of some of these younger guys playing, man. I feel like it's all gonna mold into the perfect situation when
They
it's
could
time.
peak at the right time.
It's
They
gonna,
could
man.
peak at the right. I'm with you, Kelch. I'm with you.
Watch. Well, just y'all get ready. Y'all get ready because a lot of people are doubting the war. Hey, everybody said we couldn't win it last year. We pulled it off again. Hey, man, we could see back to back. We could see back to back play. PBJ, Kaminga is showing flashes. Looney is always solid, Iron Man type of dude. We're gonna have Wiggins, Clay. Hey, it's opened up the door for Clay to play. You know what? Maybe his best basketball in the past few months, or his best basketball of his career. So it feels weird that we're at 500. Oh my God, we can't win on the road, but hey, we coming to get it, bro. We
Look at
coming
me
to get it.
practicing counting to 10.
I was, you were counting your like 5. I was counting my 17, 1, 2, 3,
Yeah,
Not
the
5,
4,
not
5,
6,
which
not
only
7.
one that you said
8.
that was in the bubble.
Warriors coming, baby. Hey, we appreciate
Hey,
everybody.
real quick
Like
though,
Jay
real quick
said,
though,
go ahead, bro.
real quick though. As much as I'm not a huge fan of the Golden State Warriors. If they get into the playoffs, they could win a ring this year. I wouldn't count it out. That's just how
Absolutely.
special this Warriors team is. And I don't even know why I'm saying this as a Lakers fan, but I remember people talking about it last year where they were like, the Celtics gonna beat the Warriors. The Celtics gonna beat the Warriors.
What
And
happened?
even after game one, I'm like, nah, it ain't gonna happen. And I just know, just watching Warriors games, I'm like, especially last year, man, the Warriors were gonna beat the Celtics either way. It was just a matter of how many games. But I already knew everybody was favoring the Celtics, but nah, the Warriors last year and just in general during that dynasty, and I would call it a dynasty, they're the real deal. Credit to Steve Kerr, credit to, the way the guys hustle, the way that they play as a team, and even the way that they're struggling right now. If they get to the dance, and if they make it to the dance, they could win an NBA final. They could win the
Ain't
NBA
nobody
final.
gonna want to play the Warriors. I'll tell you
Hey,
that.
No, even the Suns. People talking about the Suns, bro. If the Warriors play the Suns in the Western Conference Finals, I'm putting my money on the Warriors.
Hey, how about DiVincenzo, man? How about DiVincenzo? Very, very underrated, super just huge pickup. He's a straight up winner, man. 2 in college, 1 with the Bucks. Of course, he didn't do it with Sac. I just feel like it's all good. It's stressful when you're 500, you're playing 500 ball, but I feel like even if they don't just go crazy in the regular season, I feel like it's going to come together at the perfect time. If they stay healthy, like Amin said, man, they're gonna be the ones, man. Yep.
Well, I guess that's it. We ended on some basketball talk, but we appreciate everyone coming through. We will be back soon, and as always, go Niners.
Sounds like a means become